Hi everyone, it's Gabrielle Temaat with The College Fix. We have a really exciting guest today. His name is Professor Owen Anderson, and he teaches at Arizona State University. He's an outspoken Christian and conservative professor who has been commenting on Charlie Kirk's assassination in the last week on his Substack and his social media pages. He joined us today to talk about his experience leading up to and following the tragic events of last week. Hi, Professor Anderson. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you've been a friend of the Fix for a long time, so it's great to have you on. So we've been covering the Charlie Kirk assassination over the last week, and you have been very outspoken about your experience on as a conservative professor on a college campus leading up to the event and also following the event. Specifically, you talked about how your fellow staff on campus have demonized Kirk over the last several years. Can you talk a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, thanks for talking with me. I always enjoy engaging with you, and all the work you do is great. And yeah, the experience I've had really is one of the things that made me start a Substack to keep a record, because it was so startling to see how ASU professors were responding to Charlie Kirk. And about 2.5 years ago, the vast majority of the Barrett Honors College at ASU, 37 of their 41 faculty, wrote an open letter. It's available online. And in that letter, they were demanding that the college not allow Charlie Kirk and a couple other speakers like Dennis Prager to speak at the Honors College. And the reasons they gave were that he's a white nationalist, he's a bigot, and he attacks LGBTQ students. And so all of those are absurd, but also it's not an argument. It's just name calling. And these are supposed to be honors college professors who are modeling intellectual rigor. And instead they descended into name calling, and they gave citations, which all of us professors have to teach our students. Okay, what's your reference? Their citations were Media Matters, a far left biased viewpoint. And so that made me realize how outspoken they are against conservatives. And I started posting things on Substack to let the public know, especially parents who are thinking about having their students go to universities. They're already paying taxes that support these universities. Then they're going to pay tuition, and they need to know what they're supporting. And so this kind of thing continued over the last 2.5 years with Charlie. I've been in settings where professors have said TPUSA should be kicked off campus, or professors will say things like this: I believe in free speech, but bigots don't get the freedom to speak. And therefore anyone I disagree with on the right doesn't really get to speak, because I'll just label them as a bigot and then they can be blocked from campus. And so we even had a setting where a TPUSA reporter from the international office, not from the ASU club, came to campus and wanted to interview a professor who was involved in, I believe, in drag and cross-dressing, and may have been doing some of the library drag queen readings. And the professor left class. The student or the reporter and Karen were following him, asking questions, and the professor eventually lunges at the cameraman to attack him. And all of this is caught on ASU security camera. But the initial response to it was, oh, look, see, TPUSA is sending reporters to attack our professors. And that came out before the security camera footage came out. And then the security camera footage went out, and professors had to go quiet because they completely misexplained the event. And so that's the kind of bias that you're seeing consistently against the conservative position.
What percentage of professors do you think on ASU's campus do lean left and would, demonize Charlie Kirk or have demonized him, as you said?
Well, this is where I'm relying on your good work from an article last November. You did one at ASU and one at U of A, and what you showed was startling, because this is a public university, a state institution, and the discrepancy between left/far left or Democrat voting and then conservative or Republican voting wasn't even close to the general population. I mean, you can remind me the numbers. It was like 95% on one side, 5% on the other. And the problem there that everyone needs to realize is you don't get those numbers through anti-discrimination hiring. If you're hiring from the general public, then what the left has been telling us is your employees should look like the general public across all kinds of ways of measuring that, including politics and religion. But what we see is that left, far left, and atheist are highly represented among professors, and conservative and Christian aren't represented. And so that tells us something's gone wrong. And really, we're using the narrative of critical theory that would say when you look into any profession, and then they would say if it's all white guys, there's a problem, something's gone wrong. Well, we're looking into it and it's all atheist liberals or majority, something's gone wrong.
Totally. Now, I'm curious if any of those same professors who have spoken out against Charlie Kirk prior to his assassination have said anything following it.
Well, yeah, I've been observing them following me. I don't think they realize that social media can tell you quite a bit about who's observing your posts and who's following you. So I've been seeing that, but I haven't seen anything with them with their name on it, which does not surprise me because there was a small time period where they would begin trying to argue with me on social media, and I happen to be a philosophy professor. I teach logic, so I can debate, I can hold my own, and so pretty quickly they lost in public, and they stopped doing that, and they went incognito, meaning they went anonymous. So I have no doubt that they have anonymous accounts, but there's anything with their name on it is either blocked or not being used.
So you're also the TPUSA faculty chair, correct?
Yeah, I'm the faculty advisor for the student club.
Okay. You mentioned in one of your Substack posts that you had to cancel a meeting out of safety concerns. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Yeah, that was a call from
TPUSA and the students together. They made the call to cancel that. It was the Wednesday that week. And so there was a concern, what's going on? Is this a larger phenomenon? We don't know. So we want to make sure we don't have club that week. And so I spoke up as well, just in general, as a conservative professor. I'm made to feel unwelcome in many ways by the liberal ideology that's taken over our schools. And then when you have on top of that an assassination of a high-profile person at a state university, this only adds to that feeling of being unsafe. And we often hear, for example, those honors professors say Charlie Kirk attacks LGBTQ students. That gives you the idea that he's sort of like trying to physically assault them. What they mean is he's refuting the John Money sex philosophy. And those are arguments and words, but we see pretty quickly that he actually was killed. They didn't present him with an argument and see what his thoughts were. He was killed. And so there's a significant disproportion in how people are treated depending on their viewpoints. And that gets to some important First Amendment issues. Totally.
Yeah. So I'm curious then, where do we go from here? And as you mentioned, I'm sure there's a lot of fear among conservative leaders on college campuses. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think going forward, what I'm seeing is amazing. The amount of energy among students, the notes I'm getting from faculty members saying, hey, I support you in what you do. I've always received a few, but I'm getting more and more of those because I think even faculty who may have considered themselves in the middle, they see you can't assassinate a guy for debating on campus. And so I think we're going to see significant energy from this. And for me, that's exciting for two reasons, as a conservative professor, but also as a Christian, because it's not limited to just the intellectual side. It's also faith side. And we're seeing students speaking about Christianity because Charlie's clearly open about his belief in Christ and encouraged people to go to Bible-believing church. And so I'm really encouraged to see both of those things happening. And I think what it could mean is that it's interesting dynamic because the very people, the left, who cry about bullying have bullied us for decades now on campus. And I think those days are over in the sense that students, parents, legislators are going to start speaking up and saying, we're not going to sit through these classes anymore. And on my Substack, I have a list of some of it because some of it will blow your mind. We have a class on how to write an activist manifesto. So and that's only one. You'd almost think I'm writing a Saturday Night Live skit, and it's not. Yeah. It's real life.
Yeah.
And so I think people, students are going to say, hey, we're not doing this anymore. And that's their right to do that, because this is not a private university where this is happening. These are state public universities. And that goes to the point about free speech, because the left will say, oh, see, I thought you guys love free speech. We do. It's like a teenager who says to their mom or dad, it's my right to do the following. They don't understand how rights work. You can say whatever you want, and no one has to hire you. You're not given a constitutional right to a state professor job. So those are confused all the time. And not only that, when we become state employees, because we are state employees, we sign a contract which limits our freedoms in a number of ways. I can't just do whatever I want on campus. I can't say whatever I want in my classes. I'm hired to teach a specific class about a specific topic, not to make it my own indoctrination show. And so I think the left has just had freedom. They've been untouched in this. The numbers you reported on are startling. And so now we're going to see, yes, you have the right to go on social media. You can get together with your friends after work and talk about whatever you want. But if you're at work, there's restrictions on your free speech, and your employer can say, hey, you're not working here anymore. We have the rights. We also have the rights about who we hire and don't hire.
So there's a vigil happening at the school for Charlie Kirk, and you've been involved in it. Tell me what it's been like to work with the school.
Yeah, I want to really praise ASU on this one, because I'm critical where I need to be critical. I don't want people to think I'm only critical, because when I see good things, I'm so happy. This went from a relatively small event for students. It was going to maybe have a couple hundred people, so it would be outside on one of ASU's lawns. And we were working with ASU, and they were already really helpful on that. They told us we're going to make sure this happens. We got security. Let's talk through the details. Then it started to dawn on everyone involved. This is going to be bigger than we thought. It's not going to fit on that lawn. So ASU stepped up and said, you can use our basketball arena, the Desert Financial Arena. So that seats 14,000 people, and we'll provide security with no cost to the students. So there's no cost at all to the student club, and that's amazing, because that's a very expensive night's rent. I don't know what the renting out on one part the stadium, on the other part you have to pay for security separately. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars that ASU is saying, no, we'll offer this for free. So I'm super happy about that. But the numbers we're getting back from the RSVP, it looks like you better RSVP fast, or it's going to be filled up. Which, again, that's amazing. But it shows in Phoenix the love for Charlie Kirk and what he did. And if I could summarize that real quick, because I want people to understand, some people reach out to me and they hadn't really heard of him, or they just saw a clip or two of him saying something that they consider to be obnoxious on social media. But here's what he did. He went into the intellectual trenches, where for decades conservative and Christian views are mocked and belittled, and there are classes teaching Christianity, conservatism are both false. He went into those places and set up a tent, and he would talk to any student about any topic they wanted to talk about. So this is not him playing cards at the retirement center with grandma and grandpa. When you hear what he says, you say, hey, that was a little bit edgy. Yeah, he's talking to university students who are themselves very edgy, who often use profane language, and he's right there talking with them. And that shows his love and concern for them, because what he wanted to do was provide them with what he believed was the truth of the matter. And so courage and love are mixed up here, I think, in an important way, where we sometimes divide them. We think being loving means, oh, I won't say anything, I don't want to offend you. But if you believe someone else believes significantly false things, like the LGBTQ sex philosophy, if you think that is harming them, then having the courage to speak up and provide them with an argument is loving them. And so I think what we see that Charlie did is really profound. I hope it inspires a whole generation of young people to say, I want to help the way Charlie Kirk did. And I encourage you, if you've seen anyone watching, if you've seen a clip of his and you disagree with it because of the language, you might think, oh, he said this or that. Just watch the whole debate. Make sure you understand the whole setting of where he spoke. And even then, it doesn't mean he was perfect or he was right about everything. It's just that you need to know he's talking to students who want to be very argumentative, and he's kind of matching their energy.
I'm so glad that ASU has stepped up and helped Turning Point out, especially as an ASU alumna. It makes me proud. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all of your insight.
Yeah, I'm glad I can be here. I always like talking to you. Keep up the good work. You guys are doing excellent work.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. I'm Gabrielle Temaat with The College Fix. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and stay tuned for more.